You ready?
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Craig.
Yes, Lucinda.
People have been asking, how can we afford to retire early and travel the world?
Well, let's get in the video and find out.
Let's go. If you're like us, you've probably been seeing lots of videos about be a minimalist, sell everything, get rid of your house, leave Canada or the US, and travel the world. Be free.
And we're not quite like that. We still want to be around Canada a little bit.
Yes, I am still proud to be a Canadian. Yes, I am.
So in this video, we're going to tell you how do we stay in Canada and travel the world for half the time and still retire.
And have a full-time home base here in Canada.
Now just remember, we're not financial planners, we're not professionals.
And we're not you.
We're just telling our story in this video. Well, let's just step back for a minute, because I want to give you just a brief history, which will give some value about what we're going to talk about today. Now, I'm going to remind you, first of all, we're not rich. We're not trust fund babies. We didn't have a $2.5 million house to sell to do this. We didn't win the lottery. We just worked hard to try and get to a point where we can do this. So let me just step back. About the first 10 years that we were together, we were both working professional jobs. We were able to get ourselves into a house. We started raising a family. Here we are in our mid-late 30s, and we're looking at each other, and we take a look at our net worth, and we're still at zero. We still owed more money than we actually had assets. So we were talking about it. We said we got to do a little bit of a change if we think we're going to go retire someday. So what I decided to do is we started living on a budget at home. I designed a budget just like I would at work. Now, starting to live off a budget, it comes with some sacrifices. It's a little bit different than what you think it might be. So the first 5 years was a little bit challenging because, of course, the first thing you do is you pay yourself first. Then we put a little bit aside for vacations, and then we figure out all our mandatory bills. And I think we quickly realized we were living beyond our means. And that's what the budget exposes, is can you really live to what, or can you really afford to how you're living? Fast forward about 5 years, and all of a sudden we take a look at our net worth and it's working. It's working quite well. So then every year you readjust the budget according to how much you're making and how well it's working. And we put a target. We wanted to pay off the house. That's the first target. And we were actually able to do that within 12 years. Now, after paying off the house, that's when we started investing money after that. Because it's easy if all of a sudden you don't have the mortgage payment that you're just going to start spending again. So, of course, when you first start investing and you listen to everybody at work, and boy, did I make some mistakes. I learned the hard way. But the key is we learn. When you learn from your mistakes and you don't do it twice, you actually learned a lesson. Okay, let's get into how we're doing it today. We'll pull over here. Fast forward to early retirement. So I chose to leave work because I needed to deal with some mental health conditions that popped up that was leading to some physical health conditions. So what we decided to do first is we decided to sell the house, as the house is expensive to keep up, even if you don't have a mortgage.
That was a difficult decision because we really liked that house, and it meant leaving family, friends, and my job, and Anyways, our boys weren't living with us anymore, and they were the only two that had a veto on us selling the house, and they both said,
Go for
it.
So we did. So our house was in Alberta there, and we were able to sell it pretty quick. We got about $460,000 for it, Canadian. Now, we both worked long and hard to pay off that house, so we did not want to fritter away the money in retirement. Well, we weren't calling it retirement at that point. So we went to a financial advisor about where can we put that money. So they gave us this program where it increases, and it's got a safety net that if something happens, they sell it before things drop too much. And all of a sudden things started to drop within the year, and it never sold. So it took a little bit to get that investment sold. And luckily enough, we didn't lose any money, but we broke even. So then we went to another financial advisor, and they told us, if you don't want to risk the money, put it in a term deposit. We can give you 5%. So after 1 year, we got 5% on it. But when you take a look at the 3% cost of living that year, plus the taxes that we had to pay on the interest that we made, we actually didn't make any money. So we ended up just turning it into cash, and that's what led to one of the game changers about retirement. So at this point, we had to take stock. What were we doing? We took a look at our retirement savings and the savings that we had, and we had maybe 8 to 10 years that we could exist off this, and then that was it.
Not enough.
That's not enough. And then, of course, the house, we just did not want to lose that equity that we had.
I was very nervous about investing the money. I'm very much like put it in the bank or mattress kind of person and just hold on to it. But so we were very trepidatious about going forward with investing.
But here's the TSN turning point.
The
SHHH network turning point.
It's the turning point.
So during this period of time, and since I wasn't working, I had time to investigate. I started doing everything I could to learn about investing, and there's so many different sources you can go to. The common thread that we did find was passive income investing for monthly dividends. So of course you don't jump in with both feet. What we did is we started off with our TFSA accounts first. We converted that into this type of program. We watched it for almost a year, and we
did not use the dividends.
And we got used to if it works or not. So our confidence level grew, and we both talked about it long and hard, and we decided, let's put our house money in there and let's try it out. Because the best that we could get from a forecast from advisors, we might get $1,000 a month from investing our house.
Yeah.
When we put it in this program and started managing it ourselves, for the first 6 months, we were averaging over $5,000 a month income on that. So that gave us the confidence. After 2 years of testing all this out, we decided to convert all of our RSPs into this as well. So we went all in. Now, fast forward to where we are right now. This is 3 years later, and the program's working really well. As a matter of fact, when we stay home, our budget, we still live off a budget.
Yeah.
Our budget is to live off 70% of the income that we make from this program. Right now, when we're sitting at home, we're actually living off 58% of the income that we make on this program. And when we're traveling out there, we're actually only spending about 61% of the income we're making off this.
We are not spendy people when we're traveling, though, either. So we do a lot of cooking for ourselves or finding, exploring ourselves. So there's that too. So something that's important to keep in mind here is that Craig has always been really good with numbers. That was part of his work before. He got the knowledge. He spent the time testing it out. He has an aptitude for this anyways. So that's why it worked really well for us, is that Craig was able to manage that for us. And not everybody is going to be able to do that.
And investing is working for us, but it's not for everybody, right? So we're not advising anybody to do this. We're just telling the story of what's working for us.
Right.
Now, I've been studying a lot of different people about investment strategies, and there's lots of things that are relevant to this, because investing is not a 100-yard dash. It's a marathon. You got to be in it for the long haul. If you start worrying about what happens in that market every single day, you'll drive yourself crazy. It's to the point right now where I look at it once a month. And once again, stocks are safe for the long run. But stocks for tomorrow or next week are very risky. So what are we doing right now? Each one of our
You're what?
So what are we doing right now? So each one of our RRSP accounts, we do a withdrawal once a year. And we do the withdrawal to match minimum tax within Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And those RSP accounts, they make a little bit more than that every year, so they're actually still growing. And then once a year, we withdraw from our TFSAs. Whatever they made that year, we pull out. The very next year, you're allowed to put it back in, plus your $7,000 each additional. Then our non-registered cash accounts, they make up everything else. That's how we're living off of it right now. So just to give you an example of the percentages we're getting off this, our non-registered cash is currently making 13.33%. Our TFSAs are sitting at 13.43%. My RSP is sitting at 12.02%, and Lucinda's RSP is sitting at 11.96%. So that's a lot better than what the banks were going to promise us. The one motto that I like quite a bit is you can't time the market. It's time in the market.
That's right. That's a good one, Craig.
Now, there will be ups and downs in the market almost daily.
Yeah.
The trick is you got to take your emotion out of investing.
That was very hard for me. That was, especially with our house money, that was very hard for me to trust the long haul.
When the market goes down, it's easy to panic and think you got to sell. The only time you lose money is when you sell. But when the market goes down, you got to think of it as that's a buying opportunity. So some of the cash you have on hand, average down. Now for some pros and cons. Of course, we love being in Canada, and Canada's got some advantages for investing in some of these funds. When you're retired and you're making no income, there's actually tax benefits for provincial and federal for Canadian eligible dividend stocks. So take a look into that. You can actually get tax breaks for investing this way. Now, if you decide to leave Canada, there's actually an exit tax if you want to denounce your citizenship and go move somewhere else.
Say that again, Craig.
No.
25%.
Yeah. When you do that, they actually, even if you don't sell everything, they pretend like you sold everything. An accountant has to do that to figure out your assets. And you have to pay 25% of that in order to exit Canada. Another one of the pros and cons about why we're electing to stay here and travel the world at the same time. Canada's an easy place to live. Now, when you go on holidays and you go somewhere for 2 weeks, it's easy to think, this is the place to be. The grass is greener here.
That's right.
But once you get to some places long term, you start realizing it's not quite what you think it was.
That's right. And there's a lot of other things that factor into, and everybody has their reasons for leaving or not leaving, and they're personal. So.
And Canada's been tough in the last number of years for a number of reasons, but we're not going to get into politics here. But with hyperinflation and the cost of everything.
Yeah.
But you got to realize that's happened everywhere in the world.
Everywhere.
It's not just here.
Everywhere we've gone is experiencing hyperinflation and climate change. So there's changes everywhere. Everywhere has a lack of affordable housing. It's a crisis everywhere.
So like I always used to say, the grass is always greener on the other side until you got to go and mow it, and then you find all the weeds. Okay, thanks for listening to me ramble on about this topic here. If you got any questions or if I missed something, just leave a comment below.
Okay, one of the ways we keep our travel affordable is we do most of the planning and organizing ourselves. So it's time to get back to that. So we got to go.
Time to plan the next trip.
Let's go.